All right.
Wait, you want to know something that doesn't make sense? That we didn't talk about? Is how is J. Jonah Jameson still going to have his empire then? Because he only had his empire because, he exposed Spider-Man. And because at the end, he's actually still in the studio, right? He's not back in his room?
So, this depends on how popular Mysterio is still after the results. Because keep in mind that one of the things that kind of generated him was that everyone started hating Spider-Man too.
Yeah, I guess.
I did find that kind of funny. He started off. Awesome movie. Alan, have you already seen it? Because, yeah, the movie was fucking great. There were some issues with it. I'll be talking about it. If everyone wants to join in, he can join in.
Women.
Alright. You start off with a based opinion?
What do you mean? You're not going to open up those doors, are you? Oh.
No, you're using it because in case I need to grab more and shut up. Everyone, hello, Triple. Again, we will be discussing No Way Home, the new Spider-Man film with spoilers. Keep that in mind, as I mean.
Have you seen any gameplay on Circular, actually?
Nope.
His ultimate, well, not ultimate ability, but he has an ability that where he actually brings down the Star Destroyer.
That's pretty cool. So, right off the bat, it is a good movie. Like, the hype train is there. If you did see the spoilers, is that Dusty in the background? No. So I'll talk about that here. So if you did see the spoilers, you more or less know what's going on. If you haven't seen the spoilers, you do want to go into this movie blind, but you can guess all of the big surprises going into it in a dark hallway. I wasn't talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's a Christmas light, I think.
Oh.
They might not appear colored.
No, I shouldn't do. Some say Sony is responsible for the spoilers on getting back at Marvel Studios. I'm doubtful on that. So here's the thing. Almost everyone in the theater kind of knew what was going to happen because we did go to the first showing of the day.
Let's be honest. Nobody did not look up to see if they were going to be in the movie. We only went to the movie for one fucking reason. Let's be honest.
No, I've been saying this for a month now.
That's why Tom Holland in the I don't know if you ever saw analytics of the trailer when it was released and they watched it. He was so fucking disappointed in it showed 3 Spider-Man. Because that's the only fucking reason anybody wanted to go see the fucking movie.
I mean, they have
what? You got the No Way Home or fucking Far From Home, everybody was like, oh boy, I really want to see a 3rd installment. Fuck no.
We'll talk about that. So, yeah. We do get the 3 Spider-Man, Garfield, Tobey Maguire, and of course Tom Holland.
Can we talk about that, about Mysterio's win? Before everything? He not only fucking, besmirched the name of Peter, but also Tony in his death. Because it was made by Stark Industries.
Yep.
So, dude, I was like, damn. Real talk? That's a big highlight right there. Mysterio got the dub.
So fucking stupid. Literally saved the entire fucking universe and everybody, and they know he did. They still treat him like shit. So I guess I'll start off with the plot summary, and then I'll talk about more in detail. So the movie starts off right after the events of Far From Home. Kind of. It does retcon the ending portion of Far From Home, which is kind of weird.
What do you retcon it?
Well, because... So in this one, Happy and her did have a relationship of some kind, but it's not there. And then also, no. In the end of the last one, they weren't in a relationship of any kind, and this takes place moments. So they do retcon it slightly. I can't help but wonder if that retcon was for Happy's character to have more relevance later on, or maybe they kind of felt it was a little dirty that he did all that and there wasn't anything on. I thought the movie was going to do some time travel. No, they do bring it up, but obviously they can't do that because the time stone's gone. So Jameson steps in, reveals Spider-Man. Again, the entire ending, more or less the same beat for beat, except for a few changes. Peter and his family get arrested. No, I knew it wasn't good. Well, it's time travel wasn't going to you can't bring in the air Spider-Man with time travel. So Peter gets arrested. So do all of his friends and family. Over again, like this part's kind of stupid. So even though he gets cleared of his criminal charges because spoiler warning. Well, fuck, you guys already know some fucking spoilers. Daredevil's Netflix actor is in the movie as Daredevil, or more accurately, he's there as Matt Murdock. But he has Daredevil's like curing ability. He's able to catch a brick that barely shows up. They should investigate it further. No. The thing is that they do. Like the movie confirms they dropped.
Did you see? He almost reacted faster than Spider-Man.
I wouldn't say reacted like faster. I think Spider-Man has a bigger range than him. So the second got in his range, he like caught it instantly. Mm-hmm. So yeah, all those spoilers were true. Like the denial train. Nope, we're going through there. Unfortunately, he's only really there. He's really only there as a cameo. I honestly thought the movie was going to end with everyone knowing Peter's identity again. No. So we'll talk about that in case you don't know the ending. But they do basically confirm. They confirmed before the movie came out in an interview that they were taking inspiration from One More Day, which is an infamous Spider-Man storyline. Because at the end of the storyline, he sells his love for Mary Jane to the devil in order to save Aunt May's life. I actually found out the reason for that later on, which is super fucking funny. One More Day. Yeah, dang. Well, so apparently the reason that whole storyline happened is because Spider-Man's grandchild, or like his daughter, is destined to save the world from Mephisto. Like, Mephisto conquers the world, but then Spider-Man's daughter shows up and is like, no, Spider-Man. So that was funny. Yeah. So, we'll talk about that. So, Peter, they go to the entire fucking investing. That sounds funny. He spoke to Mundus. No. Not in this movie, though. That's only in the comic. So, Peter, they get arrested and stuff. They go through investigation. All charges get dropped, even though I don't know how the vigilantism got dropped, unless like Matt Murdock was like, hey, you guys remember how you guys all got blipped? You guys remember how he's one of the people who saved you guys?
Guys, remember there's a Daredevil in Hell's Kitchen who we need to encourage people like him.
Doctor Strange is actually more rational in the movie? I think he's a bit of a bigger dick, but it's kind of explained why. But it's also like, I don't think he's being out character or anything. So, first off, like this affects their social standing. The police are always looking at Spider-Man. He's being investigated. People are protesting outside of his school. He has fans. He has enemies. The teacher from the last two films apparently built like a shrine to him.
I kind of this character. I know what you did. Mysterio was right.
It is rather stupid. It's rather stupid how after a criminal charges got cleared, people still think he's guilty. Pearson set him Strange under a false premise. No, he didn't. Yeah, well, again, we'll get there. Don't worry. You can ask questions then. Or, like, try to people over. So, basically, they go through that, and then they try applying to college. But because people found out Peter's Spider-Man, for some fucking reason, every college denies him entry. Okay. So, what's your way about his identity? So, Iron Man didn't care, because when Iron Man revealed his identity, he wasn't in trouble. The problem is, for some fucking reason, people still believe Mysterio's a good guy, even though the government's investigated Mysterio's death and confirmed Peter's not guilty. People even throw a brick at him. God bless Daredevil for saving Pete. No, Peter already, like, he would have caught it. Like, he was already moving to catch it. Daredevil just beat him to it because he hit first.
No, Daredevil faster. Confirmed.
You want to pay about the challenge? But let me tell you the power skill.
Let's just say you have your power skill and I have mine.
good. That's a good callback. So yeah, going on there. So because people think that he killed Quentin Beck, and also like my brother mentioned, or at the very start, is that Iron Man's like company does get investigated for creating the drones in the first place. Which really good question. How the fuck Tony was able to get away with making drones like that? It seems like something is being in top secret on why Mysterio isn't found guilty.
He made it, huh?
Yeah, I know. That's clearly a violation of like fucking international law.
It was all about the fucking drones, like the fucking Iron Man drones.
Yeah, so that's fair. MCU, Norman, nah. So, well, okay. It is confirmed in the movie that there is no Oscorp in Peter's world at all. But going on for a minute. Okay, so Peter, none of them get into college. They're all bummed out about it. So Peter decides to go talk to Doctor Strange to see what Doctor Strange can do. Now, this is kind of stupid, kind of not. So he goes to Doctor Strange to try and like get the spell cleared up. No Oscorp? Yeah, like Green Goblin confirms there's no Oscorp in that world. Which explains why Green Goblin never showed up at any point in the MCU. So we get they talk to Doctor Strange. We find out Doctor Strange is not the Sorcerer Supreme because apparently for being gone for 5 years because of the blip, he lost the Sorcerer Supreme title, which actually explains why Wong was able to assemble all those like fucking like mages to help him immediately. So it's kind of cool. Wong is the Sorcerer Supreme currently. Well, I say Sorcerer Supreme.
I think they know like Strange is still more stronger than like the real one, but they just let Wong do all the work because Wong likes that, I guess.
Well, he's better at it. Okay, Triple. So Venom does have a cameo in the movie at the very end. We'll talk about that as we go through it. I'll tell you if you want. Okay, there we go. So you can already look this up where Peter messes up the spell. But so he goes to Doctor Strange and he tells Doctor Strange, listen, our lives have been ruined. Can you please remove people knowing I'm Spider-Man? This is where I will say Strange kind of fucked up here a little bit. And it's really fucking stupid because so what happens is he starts doing the spell and he tells Peter it's dangerous to change the spell mid-casting. But not only does Strange not exclude himself from the spell at first, which is fucking stupid as hell, but every time Peter asks him to change the spell, he gets 5 changes. Peter gets 5 changes, and that's why 5 people show up in the movie from... Well, actually, no, it doesn't even make sense because, like...
The multiverse collapsed and a certain amount came in.
Yeah, but he references 5 for the 5 villains. Like, that's kind of like...
No, but more than them just came in because the Spider-Man came in.
Yeah, no, but that's kind of like the movie's way to nod that, like, hey, the 5 villains are showing up.
But we know that's not true, though. Like, we know that's why.
So, yeah, so... That's on Strange. Strange should have told Peter, like, hey, listen, if you want anyone excluded, now's the time to mention this. So, Strange fucks up the spell. Okay. It is Peter's fault the spell fucks up directly. We're not going to have this kind of...
The spell goes wrong.
The spell goes wrong. Strange tells Peter that he should have called the colleges first before coming to him.
A very valid point.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Peter goes to go do that instead. That's when we get to the bridge scene, and that's when we get to the first Dr. Octopus fight. Who is the 6th member? There is no 6th member. There's only 5. Because again, like, only Peter did 5 changes.
Well, there's like 4.
No, there's 5.
I mean, Doc Ock shouldn't count.
Well, he did come in as a villain.
For like 2 seconds.
Yeah, but like, there's only 5. No, we're not... I don't think we're ever going to get a Sinister 6 movie, but this movie is the closest we're going to get to it. There are 5 villains. We do see cameos in the multiverse of Kraven, Scorpion, and someone else as they're trying to enter.
Rhino.
We do see Rhino, that's right. Like an actual...
Black Cat was next too, because it was either Gwen Stacy next Spider-Man or it was Black Cat. I
wonder if Black Cats are going to show up in the MCU, but we'll talk about that later. Okay, so, yeah. So There's no sixth member. There's only 5. I know it's kind of boner kill, but it's fine. So what ends up happening is Peter goes to the bridge and he fights Dr. Octopus. Dr. Octopus hands him his ass, which kind of caught me off guard because you would assume MCU Peter was stronger than, the ones from the other movies, but we'll talk about that later. Peter shouldn't go to Doctor Strange. He should have went to the genie from Aladdin since he has 3 wishes. Lol. So yeah, plot twist, MCU Peter was almost a 6th member. Goblin wanted him to be. No, so they're not very, they're not a team in this movie. If they were, they would have probably fucking beat the shit out of the 3 Spider-Man, for being honest. Yeah, so really cool part is that Dr. Octopus recognizes instantly what Peter's suit is. The second Peter's suit gets on his arm, I'll go ahead and do that. I'll go ahead and do that probably tonight or tomorrow, Terrell, since I'll have a little more free time while working on the next novel. But so what happens is the nanomachines take over Dr. Octopus's arms, and Peter's able to control them freely. I find that one a little stupid because they're connected directly to his brain, but I guess that works, whatever. So Peter beats Dr. Octopus that way because the nanomachines take control of his suit. Otherwise, he was getting fucking destroyed by him. Which kind of caught me off guard, that Dr. Octopus can actually kick his ass like that. And this is with the Iron Spider suit, mind you, so this is not like a default Peter. This is with the suit, Dr. Octopus was beating his ass. So, then we get a cameo from Green Goblin. We see, so you've seen the trailer where Green Goblin shows up, in his glider. That's for one scene. You never see that mask again. It's for one scene and then one other scene with the mask and it's gone. It's a little heartbreaking not seeing the suit armor.
Especially when they even put purple on the tip to signify the hood, or the other thing. Yeah,
it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, I'm just okay, so we went all that of changing the color of it to.
So yeah, some of them do. Okay, we'll talk more about that. Alright, so I broke the mask though. Okay, so after Green Goblin's on the bridge, we find out from Doctor. So this is weird. Strange is injured actually when he talks to them. So Doctor Strange finds out about Lizard before the fight, and I guess Lizard fucks him up a little bit because when you see Doctor Strange talking about the situation, he has injuries all over his hand or
I think Doctor Strange was surprised.
He probably got caught off guard.
Yeah, he was probably "Hello, I know there's an interdimensional being here. It'd be nice if we could." What the fuck?
Oh yeah. The Lizard gets captured off screen. No fight with the Lizard until the end. Doctor Strange explains the multiverse, and then tells Peter, "Hey,
Lizard was just a cunt." He's "I told you there'd be consequences here, Norman." He basically set him up while giving him a lecture.
So
that's what happened.
That was funny. So
he fucking didn't even go in for the punch. He literally handed him to Norman.
Norman still got this under control. Oh, we'll talk more about that, don't worry. So basically what ends up happening with Strange is Strange tells him to do that, and then Strange gives him a new gauntlet. He gives him a new web shooter that will teleport them to the actual sanctum. This is when we get a little weird. So we end up getting a fight with Electro. Okay, I'm back from seeing that one scene, but Zim was going to say it. Okay, so then we get to probably one of the cooler scenes in the movie where Peter goes out to find the next people. It's implied he's going for Green Goblin, but we find out he's actually fighting Electro. Electro does not have a physical form. When we first meet Electro, he's blue, pure energy, the same way he was in Spider-Man 2. What ends up happening, Alan, don't worry, I'll get to that, Alan. What ends up happening is during the fight, he ends up recreating a body. So that's that's pretty fucking good. But I'll explain. So basically what happens is he is right about Sandman. So the reason Peter survives Electro is because Sandman saves him. Sandman shows up out of nowhere and he's like, "Hey Peter, listen man, what the fuck is going on here?" Because they all think it's their Peter Parker, obviously. Peter explains to Sandman right away, "Different universe, bro. Don't worry about it. Help me take this guy down." And they do. They just got pretty easily. People are claiming Sandman was Dirtman early on in the movie. That's stupid. No. So, the Sandman's actually pretty fucking strong in this movie. His actual ability is pretty fucking busted. Of the Sinister Six on their own, he's probably the strongest of the six. Or, I say Sinister Six, but there's only 5 members. So, Peter captures him. And then he captures Sandman, kind of. Sandman gets put into a container, but Sandman's cool.
Well, he captures him.
Yeah, but like, does he like actually shoot him with the web?
Yeah. That's why he gets him there.
Alright, so that's fine. Yeah. Some say electrical stuff. Alan, no one's fucking saying that. Is anyone even discussing the movie? Okay, we'll talk about more. So, without amps, although Electro does confirm that the energy is different in this universe, so he was already aware of it. Wasn't Sandman struggling to take him down? That's because Sandman's not going in for any like kill blows or anything. He was just trying to contain him for Peter to get a hold of him. Anyways, so continuing forward there, fucking they kidnap that, and then Green Goblin. Green Goblin's first appearance is really fucking weird outside of the bridge. He shows, so Norman is talking to himself again, you know, because as you do, you know, got a reference to Sam Raimi films there, and he breaks the mask. So he breaks the iconic Green Goblin mask, as like a show of rebellion of Norman to, you know, Green Goblin. And then he shows up at A's, which I'm kind of surprised he's still able to run something like this. Oh yeah, the Green Goblin's great. We do get the memes. We get a lot of the memes.
Hello?
Like at one point, freaking Green Goblin's like, you know, I'm something of a scientist myself. So we do get the memes there for sure.
Oh, hey, hold on a second. Hello?
And what's up happening is during the encounter, we find out that Norman is like genuine about like wanting to change and not wanting to die, and Aunt May really wants to help him. But Peter's like, the only way we can help them is sending them back. Then Peter finds out they're all gonna die because Dr. Octopus kind of explains, and so does Marco. A lot of the characters explain that they die. It would have been funny if they referenced Bully Toby of him dancing. It would have been funny. I'm surprised they didn't do a dance reference. I suspect it's a deleted scene. The movie's 2 hours and like 30 minutes already, but it feels like we're missing some scenes for sure. Anyways, so moving on. So they get taken to Doctor Strange's place, and Doctor Strange tells them they're gonna die. Doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. I want to marry Jay with Raimi vs. Peter's child. They do the Raimi vs. Peter a little dirty with his current condition, but we'll talk about it. So,
I'm sorry, babe.
then afterwards, we'll find out that, well, no, what happens next is Doctor Strange and Peter fight. Their fight's pretty good, but it's a little weird that Doctor Strange loses. So, Peter wants to save them because Aunt May said, hey, save them. So he wants to. We end up finding out that Peter, you know, or we don't find out, but Peter wants to change them. He wants to, like, you know, like, save them from dying because he doesn't want them to die. So, partially because of what Aunt May did, Doctor Strange is obviously holding back. Yeah, he was holding back kill blows, but that still doesn't explain how Peter won, though.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we already got buried.
Huh. Help. Going on there. Doctor Strange loses. So Doctor Strange loses the... Okay, so a really cool scene occurs. Plot due stupidity? No, Peter figures out a way... So, I'll go into detail about the fight if you guys want. So, the first cool thing, Peter's body works without his soul. So Doctor Strange hits Peter's soul out of his body the same way that happened to Hulk, and the same way that happens to Doctor Strange in the first movie. Peter's body can still move without its soul. His body moves the box away from Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange is freaking out. Peter's spider sense helped him. Okay, so very clearly, Alan here has already seen the movie, so that's good. So, going on. So, going on.
I just wanted to.
What ends up happening is Peter's mobility, the spider sense helping outside his body. It was, but again, the fact that his body can still move at all was the weird part. So Peter can technically fight without a soul or being unconscious. That's kind of what like the movie confirms there for power scaling purposes, but whatever. So during the fight between Doctor Strange and Peter, Peter causes two of Doctor Strange's portals in the mirror dimension to hit each other, and that splinters the mirror dimension further. It's during this splintering, you can see his spider sense around his head. I know, Alan, I saw the movie. All right, so this splintering, Peter recognizes the geometric design of it, like Alan said. He uses geometry and basing the shapes in terms of like actual mathematics and what they're going to look like, because Doctor Strange's magic is technically mathematics. He's able to pin Doctor Strange there for 12 hours. And
I don't know if I agreed with that part where he's like, it's just simple geometry, and I'm like, it's like it makes sense, but then it kind of doesn't at the same time.
Well, isn't it in the first Doctor Strange movie they confirmed that his magic's just using energy from the like reality? Because Doctor Strange doesn't use real magic in the sense of like a magical system. He's using energy that's already there and manipulating it.
No, man.
What?
They use the energies in the universe.
I mean, you joke.
Huh?
You joke, but I think that's actually how it's explained.
No, it is.
Yeah.
It is. That's what the
So yeah, he doesn't use like actual magic, reality,
no,
and
actually, because
the energy's there.
Remember, it's the guy who's paralyzed says he has to draw energy from himself from a different dimension in order to not be paralyzed.
That doesn't make it actual magic though. It's still just like in dimension like energy.
No, but that doesn't mean fucking that equals geometry.
Anyways, so the mirror dimension fractures like a mirror. So based off the fractures, he figures out its shape, or it's like a kaleidoscope, I think he calls it, and then he figures out how to pin him down. Wait till we get more Scarlet Witch and GR and MCU. We'll talk more about that because she actually does have a cameo at the very end of the movie. I guess it's technically a cameo, but it's just a trailer for Doctor Strange 2. What we end up finding out is, at that point, we don't want to find out. Peter has the box that can send them all back. And he decides to, in a stupid move, he takes the villains to his apartment to work on fixing them. And to be fair, it does work to some extent.
Oh, fuck. I gotta download Future Fight again.
Why?
Because there's a bunch of Chloe skins out.
So, he fixes Dr. Octopus pretty easily. If you've seen the Raimi movies, you already know what he's going to do more or less. He gives him a brand new inhibitor chip, which is a lot bigger than the last one. So either it implies that he built it to like base itself over the injury, or you could assume that Dr. Octopus just like made a better inhibitor chip and Peter's just making a substitute. That's what
they finally added magic to Future Revolutions.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Peter's empathy got to him. I wouldn't say it's Peter's empathy. It's more like Aunt May's expectations on him. And Green Goblin calls this out later on. But so all 5 villains are in his apartment and they're working to fix them. They do fix Dr. Octopus, and they do make the fix for Electro, which is kind of weird, kind of not. Because Electro's fine in the MCU, so removing his powers only prevents him from being a villain. He doesn't really need to lose his powers to be like fine. But anyways, so they make the cure for Electro, which takes time. They make the cure for... Actually, for some reason, they make the cure for fucking Green Goblin next. So... Dr. Octopus, Otto Octavius, gets freed first, and he helps them make the cures for the other people. As a result, they're all going to be fine. They're all going to be cured, if no problem. With the exception of Sandman and fucking Sandman and fucking whatchamacallit, the Lizard, because for some reason they're just not like fucking, they get them last, I guess. Imagine the villains made a cure for the three Pete's. They'd have no basis to work off of though. And also, you have to assume the spider's the same in every single like universe. A cure for like, especially Tobey Maguire, because Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is confirmed even among the other Spider-Men to be really fucking weird. So like you couldn't cure all three of them. You'd only be able to cure maybe Garfield and maybe Tom Holland since they have similar sets of powers. But it wouldn't work on Tobey Maguire because like that Spider-Man has way different powers and abilities in reference to the others. So anyways, going forward. They're about to cure them, but Green Goblin shows up. Or more accurately, Norman stops being Norman, and he becomes Green Goblin again. And Green Goblin apparently made a false cure for himself, and Green Goblin gives a speech like he always does, and the speech convinces most of the people to, like, turn against them. With the exception of Dr. Octopus. Fucking Sandman's just weird, and Dr. Connors was never there, so he didn't really hear this. He did kind of hear the speech, but it's kind of implied that it was all planned to begin with. Because when Doc Connors breaks out of a van that's been holding him outside because he didn't want to go inside to like scare people, he does confirm that it's time and that like everything's going according to plan more or less. So I think Green Goblin planned out the entire like invasion there just fine. So Green Goblin turns on them, and then all hell kind of breaks loose. An explosion occurs in the lobby, and then we get Green Goblin directly fighting Tom Holland's Peter. Keep in mind that Tom Holland's Peter scales to people like Thanos and shit. I know it's like a little power scale-y. Green Goblin beats the shit out of him. Like, Green Goblin fucking destroys Tom Holland in a fight. Now, to be fair, Tom Holland gets a few cool hits in, but like, overwhelmingly, Green Goblin's just beating the shit. One of the best scenes is like Tom Holland like knocks him down two floors and then continues fighting him. Then he gets knocked out. Goblin laughed at his punches. Yeah, but you can just argue it's more of like the insane value or like him trying to convince. Because one of the things he does try to convince Tom Holland, and I really wish they would have done this, but they don't. We'll talk a little about later with the SWAT team. So Tom Holland's Spider-Man just gets fucking destroyed. But on top of getting hit by fucking getting hit by Green Goblin, he gets thrown out of the building. Lizard catches him, slams him into the wall, like my brother said, and then he just throws him back to Green Goblin to set him up for a fucking.
He's like, I told you Peter, bad things would happen.
So,
anyways,
the villains do like warn Peter to not do this. Like everyone but Peter and MA kind of warned him in advance. Don't be a fucking dumbass. Like, don't do this. But Peter's like, no, man, my man said so. So, fucking, and keep in mind, this is Green Goblin for the most part without gadgets or anything. He's just beating the shit out of him through sheer strength. And what does end up happening is, like, Green Goblin grabs him after the Lizard throws him, and he slams him on the ground. And they break every floor down like 20 stories up. It's fucking awesome just seeing Green Goblin beat the shit out of him. And then afterwards, Green, like, you know, Aunt May's at the bottom floor because she was trying to escape the room. No, like, dude, Green Goblin's like, fucking, what's that? You don't scale Tobey Maguire Spider-Man? Don't mind if I do. For context, the movie does go out of its way to show that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is the strongest of the three. MCU Peter, well, we'll talk about that because it's not entirely true, but like at the current point in the story where they're at when they show up, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is the strongest of the three. So, like the villains beat the shit out of him, and this is the big emotional moment of the movie, or at least. No, fuck that. It's supposed to be the big emotional moment. It's not. The big emotional moment comes later on. Green Goblin gets his glider back and kills Aunt May in the lobby of the hotel. Her death was impactful, but it was drawn out a lot. So he drops the Goblin bomb. The bomb explodes because Peter fails to knock it out of the way. But she's still alive, but she's in shock. She gives Peter the "with great power comes great responsibility" line, because apparently in this universe, it's not Uncle Ben who tells him, it is Aunt May. Supposedly Toby's Peter has multiverse Spider-Man sense. No, that's wrong. No, that's absolutely wrong. His spider sense is better than the other. Well, it kind of isn't. Again, I'll talk about it. But we're getting that scene real soon. She dies as Happy's being arrested in front of Peter, and they actually shoot him. The SWAT teams do shoot him because they want him to stop. Considering she just died, it's partially the world's fault on top of what he did, and after Green Goblin's speech, Tom Holland Spider-Man should have beat the shit out of those police officers. He should have he should have beat the shit out of those SWAT members. He runs away, he doesn't do it, his aunt dies and that's it. But he really, I was expecting him to at least beat the shit out of a couple of them, but no, he just kind of runs away. While he's running away with the box, Mary Jane has the box currently, or I guess her name is Michelle Jones, whatever. She has the box it's in the back, because before Strange gets locked up, they do get a hold of a box with a button on it. If you hit that button, it sends all the villains back. Would have saved everyone. Would have unironically, if they would have just listened to Peter's instructions the first time, they probably would have sent them back way before anyone died. So, Spider-Man, runs away to hide. He's crying his eyes out, and so they decide, hey, we want to see Peter Parker. This was such a weird place to put this scene in the movie. The introduction of the two other Spider-Men occurs right after Aunt May dies. So you're supposed to have this big feel moment, but you can't, because the fucking real, the OG Spider-Man have just arrived. Andrew Garfield does show up first. They test him around a little bit, and then Tobey Maguire shows up. Tobey Maguire, thankfully, he's a lot more mature, but he's also better than Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, as they have a little web shooter exchange where they try to shoot each other's web, web each other, but Tobey does beat him in the exchange pretty easily, which is kind of nice. Again, so I'm actually surprised how much respect was paid to the original Spider-Man, because they did not have to make him the strongest of the three, but they did anyways. And considering that Tom Holland Spider-Man fought things like Thanos and Iron Man, the fact that they're willing to show that Tobey Maguire Spider-Man is stronger than him, and that Andrew Garfield is comparable, if not. Andrew being stronger is a little weirder. There's not direct feats against it, but Andrew does withstand more of Electro. I think it's Electro's torture than Tom Holland's. The suits aren't that different for Tom Holland and for Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. There are clear differences if you know the suits well. But on a casual glance, I got them confused a little bit, even with the voice actors going on. But going forward, there, Aunt May dies. They do find Tom Holland Spider-Man. Because Peter is the most experienced of the three, and he kind of already knows where to try and find him. He already has an idea of what area you want to look for. They did a good job showing off the maturity he's gone over the years. He doesn't feel one-to-one with his old version, but that's kind of excused by the fact that he's kind of been around doing it for a very long time. So going on from there, we finally get to introduce Spider-Man. Tom Holland's Peter he's in pain, and the other Spider-Men respect that. But it's kind of annoying hearing him say, you guys don't know what it's like or what I'm going through, when they've lost people too and shit. We obviously know their history. He doesn't. It's written well within character. It's just kind of a little silly hearing Tom Holland be hey, stop talking all this shit, boy. You don't know what these two have been through. And then we get just a bunch of great scenes with the three Spider-Men involved. We get a bunch of them talking together, playing together, working together. Andrew Garfield feels like he just came right back. It's so there's not much really to talk about here, the three Spider-Man. They just have cool interactions. They do talk about their webbing, though, because they're all so Peter asks, I say Peter, but it's Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man asks them, he asked Tom Holland what he's being given during as they're making the cures for the characters, the villains. And he's like, "Oh, it's web fluid." And he looks to he looks at Andrew Garfield and he's like, "What? So your guys' web doesn't just come out of your wrist?" And they're all just kind of like, I can see if they were trying to make a DMCU becomes canon, it's multiverse the reboot. Well, it's already confirmed that it's part of this separate timeline. They're freaking the fuck. They freaked the fuck out over Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man power, because they're just shocked that he actually can create his own webs. And so there's a lot of gags with that one where they're talking about it, and they're just like, wait, does it ever get clogged? No, if you make like the main series and the reboot come together, like how No Way Home did it, yeah, but like I mean, yeah, but they can already do that. Like that's not really an issue. Going on here, so there's not really too much to talk about when the Spider-Men are involved together because it's really just them like roughly being their Spider-Man together. They're all incredibly smart for the most part, so they're all able to help out. We do find out from Peter that he has been that by himself he's been trying to figure out how to cure what happened, like cure fucking Osborn's like issue for years. I can't help but wonder if that's in reference to what happened to Harry, but Harry didn't get the split personality, so I think he just actually like was like trying to figure out what he could have done to save Osborn that time. So that's kind of cool. YouTube once again brought us another 10 out of 10 thumbnail amount. I love Eddie. Doing Spider-Man spoilers. So the final fight is rather disappointing, unfortunately. It's cool seeing all these villains, but they're not fighting together. And all the villains are fighting for themselves and going into it, which, again, it does lead to some cool moments and some cool fights. Also, we do see that, like, for some reason, which is kind of stupid, the Spider-Man can't fight well with each other at all. So at the very start of the fight, they have plans set up. They have ways to cure everybody, but they don't have like. This is really weird for Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man because Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is confirmed to have Omnivision in this movie, so it doesn't matter where he's shooting his webs. And to be fair, their spider sense is kind of all confirmed to be either comparable or equal to each other. So the fact that they kind of keep hating each other is a little stupid when they fuck up because they're trying to fight the Sinister Five or whatever, and they just keep hitting each other with their own fucking webbing. And I'm just there kind of thinking like, you guys can all see this shit with your fucking spider sense. How the fuck are you guys hating each other? So they regroup during the fight, and then Tom Holland's like, hey, listen, man, I'm the only one who's worked on a team. Let's try and work out here. Don't think, just use your spider sense and that's it. Tom Holland has to be the guy to bring them together because it is his movie. But if I'm being honest here, they should be telling him that. Yes, he's had more experience working in a team, but they've been Spider-Man longer and they've had the spider sense a lot longer than he has. And his spider sense, Toby's is actually pretty good because Toby, without even realizing what's going on, his spider sense or like his like senses tell him that he needs to help Tom Holland. Andrew Garfield confirms the same thing, but that's not like really dangerous to themselves. So unless the spider senses are connected, like all three of them are just connected to their own little network, it's just a little weird. They beat the three. So the scene from the trailer with all three of them jumping forward, that is in reference to all three Spider-Men fighting those three villains because they're the Sinister. Ultimately, they're the main villains. They're like the main sort of like villains to fight in the movie. Electro does get stronger because Electro does gain access to the arc reactor, but we'll talk about that. They cure Sandman first because Tobey Maguire gets Sandman in there. You get a nice heartfelt moment with You get like a nice moment with Sandman and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. Next comes in. I don't want to say Doc Connors comes next. They try to fight Electro. Electro, amped with the arc reactor, beats shit out of all three of them. Like he blasts them apart pretty easily, and then they get picked off by the others, kind of. Dr. Octopus ends up showing up out of nowhere, and he ends up tricking Electro to get close enough to him to rip out the arc reactor, which kind of nullifies his power, and then he cures Electro of his fucking, his powers. Dr. Octopus then gets like a nice moment with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, which, again, the one thing I will say about the villain endings real quickly Well, no, I can mention it all forward. So they cure Electro, they cure Sandman, and then they cure Lizard. Like Lizard gets beat by Tom Holland Spider-Man and gets cured. Afterwards, Doctor Strange shows up. We get a really nice moment with fucking Doctor Octopus and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. And then like fucking Doctor Strange's like, all right, I'm gonna undo the spell. Let's get this over with. Let's finish it off. Green Goblin shows up. Green Goblin attacks them. So Doctor Octopus protects Doctor Strange. Doc and Osborn are tragic, both like Peter. Well, so the thing is, regarding Doctor Octopus, he's not a villain for long. After the bridge scene, he basically stops being a villain. But you do see Toby had two people died, Uncle Ben and Harry. Andrew had, not including his parents, Gwen and Uncle Ben die. And Tom had Aunt May and Iron Man die. But damn, and Osborn for Toby. Toby had a lot of people die for him. So then what ends up happening is, now personally, I think Dr. Octopus like actually has better reaction time and like speed than Doctor Strange, but I'll have to wait for the movie to come out before I analyze that further. Dr. Octopus protects Strange, but that lets Green Goblin get the bomb. That lets Green Goblin put a bomb in the box. No clue how the fuck he did that, because I don't think it would actually fit, but whatever. And he blows up the box, which sets the spell off. The spell that was going to erase everyone's memory of Peter, but Doctor Strange is trying to contain it, and this causes the multiverse to start collapsing on itself. Or more accurately, it starts bringing in the infinite number of people who know Peter Parker is Spider-Man. This is where you get the cameos of Scorpion. According to my brother, he saw Kraven. I just saw Scorpion, and we did see Rhino. And also, the Spider-Man do compare who they fought. Unfortunately, they don't talk about newer adventures. A very powerful spell versus one bomb. It's a goblin bomb. So this one's a little weird. We get Green Goblin does get injected with a serum during the hotel scene earlier on when he kills Aunt May, but it doesn't do anything to him. So I can't confirm if he got stronger or not. But and I don't think he did. But we'll talk about that. Either way, the serum would go. Tier 2 bomb, Green Goblin over here about to fuck. I'm gonna be honest, after watching the movie, I'm pretty sure those five Spider-Man villains would probably have been able to beat Thanos in a fight. I'm convinced they would have beat Thanos. Unless you want to say Thanos abuses the Reality Stone, at which point they'd probably lose. But without the Reality Stone, I'm pretty sure they would have beat Thanos. Anyways, going forward. So this is where it gets like near the end of the movie. Green Goblin and Spider-Man have they have one last fight. I understand this is Tom Holland's movie and we've already seen Tobey Maguire beat Green Goblin, but it's a little silly that we don't get a massive moment between like Osborn and Peter. We do get a small moment, but not a big one, which is kind of weird considering the fact they're really close, like they're basically family. In the first movie, we literally see that Osborn fucking goes to Thanksgiving with them. So what ends up happening here is we get this really cool fight scene where Tom Holland is bloodlusted, but even while bloodlusted, he's still not really stronger than Osborn. Like, the way he beats Osborn in a fight is by consistently webbing his feet. Well, Osborn doesn't die in the movie. I'll talk about that. Like, Peter's actually using his webs to keep Green Goblin off, but Green Goblin can still take blows from him. He can still fuck him around. He can still, like, fuck with him and still beat his ass. But, shit. Phone fell. Are we good? Man, I bought this case off fucking nowhere. No, so Osborn. So here's the thing. In the first movie, and I'll talk about the character specifically right now. We're almost done with the synopsis, or we're almost done with the plot summary. Don't worry. So basically, Peter fucking beats his ass, and then we get to the very end of the movie where fucking apparently this is how you're supposed to hold it. They couldn't. No, like I'll talk about it. They were kind of packed. So basically, what ends up happening is at the very end of the movie, Peter, while bloodlusted, does beat Osborn, but he only really beats Osborn because he's using his webs effectively. This isn't the same stomp that happens at the end of Spider-Man 1, where Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is casually fucking fodderizing him while bloodlusted. This is more like his skills, and he's actually stopping to hold back. We get a really nice scene here. So basically what ends up happening is he beats Osborn because of his webbing, and then he grabs Osborn's glider to stab him. This is a fully bloodlusted Tom Holland. This is full, like, and he's got the nanomachine and everything. He moves in to stab Green Goblin, and Tobey Maguire gets in front of him and beats him in a strength fight, and beats him in a fight of strength. Like, he holds him back. Again, completely bloodlusted, fully serious Tom Holland. Tobey Maguire, not bloodlusted, so he doesn't compare to his full strength. He is serious. And he just grabs he just holds the glider up and just stops him from fucking pushing it in. And like, they actually do struggle, and Tom Holland just gives up. Like, no, like the movie goes out its way to confirm Peter's stronger than the other two by far. Or at least stronger than Tom Holland. Andrew Garfield, he should be stronger than too, but Andrew doesn't really get a lot of scenes to compare the two. Then Tobey Maguire does get stabbed. To be fair, Osborn did beat Tobey in the first movie before the end. No. So Osborn beats Tobey Maguire throughout the movie until Tobey Maguire gets bloodlusted. Once Tobey Maguire gets bloodlusted at the final fight, he fucking fodderizes Green Goblin. It's one of the biggest stomps in superhero movies. He literally catches his hand like it's nothing, and he just fucking smacks him around like he's a fucking ragdoll. The whole point of that scene is to show that if Spider-Man doesn't hold back, he can like kill these people, and that scene illustrates it perfectly. Tom Holland Spider-Man does cure Green Goblin, and he does let him live. We get a minor scene where Green Goblin looks at like Peter Parker, like shocked that he's been stabbed, but you don't really get anything else with them, which is kind of fucking silly. The OG ones are always the badass ones. Like, look at his muscles from the first movie, for crying out loud. So then once you have, and this is the actual tearjerker part of the movie. This is actually the sad part. Line's a little weird here. You okay? Yeah. So, we get to the spell. So the spell is breaking apart the multiverse, basically. And no?
I was gone for like at least 20, 30 minutes.
You wanted more food?
My girlfriend, she said, she was gonna get pan, and I was like, fuck, I'm still hungry.
Alright. So, basically, we get to the point with the spell. This is a real, like, tearjerker moment. So,
Peter accepts me, man.
What ends up happening is Strange tells him, we have to finish the spell. Oh, no, that's not happening. So, the multiverse is falling apart, and Strange doesn't know what to do. So Peter tells him...
Actually, can we talk about that? How he's trying to fix it? How he throws off, like, basically, like, fucking, what's that tape called?
He just throws, like, the orange, like...
No, but that tape, what's that tape called?
Scotch tape?
No, where he's like, this can fix anything! Whatever it is.
Oh, fucking, flex
yeah,
tape?
he was basically putting fucking flexi tape on all the holes.
So basically... So the multiverse is kind of collapsing in on itself, but it's more so that everyone who knows who Peter Parker is, dude, they should have had Sam Raimi's Venom here. It would have made more sense for what we actually got. So,
hey Parker,
dude, that would have been great. Sinister Six, let's go.
He's like, my spidey sense is tingling.
Dude, she's underage. I think they should have had Venom in the movie, but beyond the point. So basically, we end up getting to the point where Doctor Strange tells him, "Hey, we gotta finish the spell." Or Peter tells him to finish the spell because by erasing everyone's memory that he's Spider-Man, that prevents the spell from going through.
He tells him to make a new spell.
No, he just finished the original.
No, finish the original. He's like, I can't. It's too late. That's why he says, because they're all coming here for Peter Parker. That's why he says, all right then, make a new one where I'm erased.
Yeah. Okay. No, he's right. So yeah. So basically, Peter Parker tells Doctor Strange, make a spell that erases Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Or, yes. The weird part about this, though, which is kind of stupid, well, no, I'll give it forward. Doctor Strange tells Peter that's going to affect everybody, but it's going to affect him specifically because apparently, based on how the spell works this time, he's not erasing Peter Parker as Spider-Man. He's erasing Peter Parker from existence. So no one's going to remember who Peter Parker even is. And this does include him being related to Aunt May. This does include everything about him. He's gone. By the end of the movie, he's no longer there. So, well, I mean, he's still alive, but like his existence doesn't he basically doesn't exist anymore on anything. So what ends up happening is he tells Doctor Strange, let's do it. You get one heartfelt moment between Strange and Peter because this is the last time they're ever going to know each other. And this is a tearjerker moment because for me at least, your memory being gone is way worse than you actually dying. And to see Tom Holland make that choice is really impactful. And it really does bring him into... This is the movie he stopped being Iron Man Jr. and he became Spider-Man at the end. This is the movie where it comes in. You get one last, hug out between the three Spider-Men. Their interactions are cool, but they're a little too close. Like, you can clearly tell it's just the actors are having fun with it more so than the characters, which is fine. Us fans don't give a fuck. We're down for that. Sign us up for another. But, yeah, so he goes through with it. This returns all the people. He hugs it out with them one last time. And then you get one last sad moment where he's talking to, his friend Ned and Mary Jane or fucking Michelle Jones or whatever. And he's basically telling them, you're not going to remember me anymore. We're gone for good. This is going to be the last time we're going to see each other. And they have one last tearful moment, and then Strange completes the spell. You even see Strange cry almost. You see, a tear go down his fucking face as he realizes that he's not going to be able to, understand Peter or, really remember Peter anymore. And the snap occurred, or not the snap occurs. The spell goes off, and everything. So, the events of the movie still happened, but Peter Parker's gone, so they just don't remember Peter Parker at all. You get this really sad scene in the cafe where Peter's trying to talk to Mary Jane after the spell goes off. Whatever, MJ. And fucking, he can't do it because he sees their life is so much better without him in it, without him complicating it. And, you see him desperately trying to, talk to her or, trying to say it. But he just can't. And then you see him focusing on all their mannerisms and stuff because he obviously knows them.
Because he sees the scar.
No, because he also pays attention to Ned and stuff. When she grabs the donut, he sees it. He focuses on it. Yes, he sees the scar, but then that does make him focus on it. But he's also focusing on how they're acting and stuff because they didn't change. They just don't remember him anymore. You don't really get the ramification of the spell, though, until he goes to see Aunt May's grave. And before Nick Fury somehow remembers about people. Well, he's off planet. No, I'm kidding. And so, this is the fucked up part. He shows up to...
That actually was so glossed over.
Yeah, they know that there was a school.
How does the FBI know that he's not here?
Maybe let them memo. So basically what ends up happening is he goes to their grave. Fucked up moment. This is the worst moment. And then Happy shows up and Happy asks him, how did you know her? So that means that his connection to Aunt May to most people doesn't exist anymore. He's literally just nothing. There's nothing left about him whatsoever. So obviously he doesn't have Tony's tech anymore or nothing like that. And then he gets this rundown apartment to live in afterwards. But I really like this. It's not negative. When Tom Holland, he's lost everything completely, but as he looks at that rundown apartment, he's not negative about it. He's not upset about it, or he's not it's not like The Last of Us 2 where at the end it's just depressing. He's actually still one, again, he's no longer Iron Man Jr., he's Spider-Man now, and he makes himself a new suit, and it's the comic accurate Spider-Man suit. It's kind of like Sam Raimi's and Andrew Garfield's. I'm sure if someone analyzes it, they're probably gonna find oh, he took this from Andrew Garfield's, he took this from fucking Sam Raimi. But he actually sews his own suit.
Are there chocolates in the fridge?
There's some white chocolates in the fridge. You can have some of those. And in the last moment of the movie, we finally got Spider-Man. We don't have Iron Man Jr. anymore. We have like an actual Spider-Man now, and I'm really surprised they actually managed to pull it off. Probably because like we see the actual character death in place, like because again, so in this one, Aunt May doesn't do it. It's or Uncle Ben doesn't do it. It's Aunt May. And yeah, that's more or less the movie. You get one last optimistic shot of like fucking Peter swinging around New York City to help the police, and boom. Random NPC, this guy talking to MJ is being sus. I'm pretty sure, I'm surprised no one called him out for it in the scene, but I guess like they just don't care. Did Tobey Maguire ever made a reference to his back, like that one scene where he's swinging and he fell on his back of the car? Yeah, Tobey Maguire doesn't reference hitting the car. He does reference that his back is stiff from swinging around so much, but then Andrew Garfield also confirms that he has the same problem too.
And then he pops his back.
Yeah.
And fixes it.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's a reference to him falling on, because like he does fall on a car in the Sam Raimi movies and he's like, my back. But I don't like, again, so it is nice seeing them all together. Like I really hope there's a fuck ton of deleted scenes of them just like fucking hanging out together. That would be pretty fucking sick.
Every fucking movie we go to, dude, there's always somebody fucking talking. And that guy in front of us, dude, oh my word.
I was about to tell us what the fuck up.
I really wanted to be like, can you shut the fuck up?
So we're trying to enjoy the fucking movie, maybe you should try doing that.
He's like, yo, my friend's here! Yo, I saw him to Larry, it was next and I was like, shut the fuck up!
Yeah, so I just can't imagine. Fun time. The last part mentioning is the Venom scene.
So disappointing.
Okay, so spoilers for Venom. Spoilers for Venom, I guess. Venom 2, if you haven't seen that one. At the end of Venom 2, Tom Hardy gets sucked into the MCU.
Can we talk about why that doesn't make sense? Because Venom doesn't know he's Peter Parker.
Maybe he's supposed to be.
If the rules of the spell are those who know Peter Parker is Spider-Man come in, right? So Venom's inclusion makes no sense.
Maybe he's implying he's the Spider-Man of his world, so he just got sucked in. I agree with you. So, we find out, which I think Tom Hardy should have shown up to fight at the end of the movie. I think they should have brought on Venom, but whatever. So, we find out that for the past several hours, he's been getting drunk, trying to figure out what's going on in the MCU because he's so confused.
Dude, that comment. It's the guy gets angry and turns green his name Hulk, and you told me you leave the protector was a dumbass name.
And so, dude, it's so sad. Okay, so what ends up happening is at the end with the spell complete. That's a question if like that actually would work on the symbiote. Whatever. Questions for later.
Well, it didn't work fully because it was like part of Venom was that.
No. Well, that. But what I mean is like, does the symbiote know Parker is Spider-Man? Because according to Venom in the movie of the Venom 2, they share a multiversal hive mind.
Yeah, so that makes sense.
Whatever. So yeah, Venom gets sent back. He doesn't have any MCU appearance whatsoever. But at the very end of the scene, you see that a tiny portion of Venom's suit is still in the MCU. So we have a symbiote now, but it's not going to be Venom unless they break the rules of how the symbiote splitting works, because it should be toxin instead of Venom. You gonna go shower now?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the costumes real quick.
Alright. Maybe the symbiote does know. Regardless, we're not getting the Venom from the Venom movies. We might get... No. Venom from... what's the movie called?
Venom Let There Be Carnage?
Let There Be Carnage. Venom from the Sony movies is in the MCU for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, literally.
The fact that we didn't get Venom fight in this movie at all, big missed opportunity. But that's what's going to define this movie. Is going to be the what else they could have done moments. Which is unfortunate because the movie by itself, like, it's what we all wanted. We were all yelling in the theater, even though we all knew Andrew Garfield was showing up, and we were all yelling that he showed up. Like, so, especially for me as a Spider-Man fan of many years, because I actually have like a little Spider-Man shirt right there when I was a kid. It was incredible seeing all three of them on stage, but man, they needed Venom there. They needed some version of Venom in that fight. Or they could have brought back Mysterio in some way. Like, there were a lot of things they could have. Nope.
I was low-key hoping for that. I was hoping at some point, like, there was going to be some illusion or something, and I don't know.
I think it would have sucked for Tom if Mary Jane died. Well, I mean, she's dead to him now, basically. Like, they don't know each other at all. Like, his MJ is gone. Oh, that's not entirely true. She's still the same person, and he doesn't know her, but, like, she doesn't know him anymore, so, you know.
No, I think what that was implying at the end, because he still had the cup, that he's probably just going to go as a regular, you know?
Yeah.
And then just over time, like, she'll probably fall in love with him. Because when he left, she was already like, huh. And how she also, I think they're starting to get something together because she foreshadowed it. I did it once. I can do it again.
That's just a desperate please with someone who knows there's no chance.
No.
Storytelling trope.
Marvel's not that good of a writer.
5 changes, 5 minutes. Anyways. I remember the theory that Mary Jane was falling and Tom was trying to save Andrew would. Yeah, okay, so I didn't explain that. Yeah, no. Falling scene, Andrew does save her, and he is breaking down, basically fucking crying, because he was able to save her this time. Like, he was able to save the girl this time. Well, the fucked up part about fucking The Amazing Spider-Man is he got to her. It's just that the web fucking snapped her spine on impact.
No.
Yeah.
She hit her head. Did you really forget how she died?
Dude, she died because her spine snapped. It's based off the comic.
No, she dies because when he webs her to pull her up, her fucking head hits the concrete.
I'm pretty sure.
She dies on impact.
I'm pretty sure it's a spine.
No, look at the fuck. What do you mean?
I'm pretty sure I'm right here.
No.
Go shower.
She fucking bashes her head on the fucking floor.
Nah, I didn't see blood.
Oh, you know what? So you're right.
Anyways, yeah, no. So, well, one of us is right. And that's me.
No. You have a limp dick.
What? Alright, that weird. This one Freddy Krueger coming in and be like, Freddy being dead wasn't a problem, but being forgotten, now that's a bitch. Yeah, no, so, at the very end, so going over the character arcs and the characters very, like, a little briefly, depending on how far we go in this.
Character? Horrible.
I was really worried Tom Holland's Spider-Man was going to be overshadowed by the other two, and he kind of was. But they worked like if this was still Peter Parker, nah, Gwen Stacy ain't dead. She's just sleeping. She just hit her head hard. Nah,
Told you.
spine. It's based off the comics. It's based off the comics. It's a spine, bro. Her spine snapped. Yeah, out of here with your basic knowledge. Anyways, so if they didn't give Tom Holland his character development in this movie,
I like how they actually acknowledge that. Though, sorry to drop, but I like how they acknowledge. I don't know how to fight with anybody. Yeah, me either. I usually just fight alone.
yeah, but
Why not fight the Avengers? That's so cool. Who are they? Were you in a band?
Tobey Maguire over here. Who are the Avengers? Are the Avengers a band?
I like how they were humoring him. It's like, dude, that's crazy.
They're so supportive though.
Yeah. No, that's why. I don't like that.
Yeah, no, so going on your face, my reaction. No, like, again, like, the chemistry of the three Spider-Men is wonderful, but it's not a chemistry. it's not entirely a chemistry that feels natural. It feels like a chemistry that can only exist because the actual fans and actors are incentivizing these relationships to go. It's like Andrew and Toby, they're cool with Tom Holland right away, but they're all cool with each other. Like I guess it's just being Spider-Man. They feel like kinship to each other because they all kind of have like some idea of what they're going through. Toby and Andrew in particular are like really chummy together. Tom Holland feels like obviously does feel like the new one, so he did a good job there. But okay, going to Tom Holland. Tom Holland, if they didn't give Spider-Man this character arc for this movie with the death of like fucking Aunt May and like getting the line with great power comes great responsibility. If they didn't give him that, he would have been overshadowed hard, even with like a fraction of the runtime that they were given. Because Andrew Garfield knocked it out of the park. Like it feels like he never stopped playing Spider-Man. He came back to it instantly. Tobey Maguire does feel different, but they do kind of try to excuse this with a time skip because again, by the time he shows up, it's been like I think like 20 years since the events of Spider-Man 3. I could be wrong there, but he's gotten really old by this point. And the movie does imply, since Dr. Octopus does talk to him, that he's gotten old. He says like, "You've gotten old." So. You know, funny if Andrew came in and met Tom Holland's that man, started flirting with that man, finds out that it's his hand from a different. There's a lot. The way the Spider-Men are introduced instantly and where they're introduced is just so fucking weird. Because you get no build up to their characters meeting. They just meet up and then boom, there we go. So, this movie's a case of it could have been done better, but I don't think anyone's gonna walk out of this movie gonna be like, I wasn't satisfied seeing the movie. Like, I don't think we're gonna have that issue. It's always gonna be, man, my forehead is fucking shiny. What the fuck? It's always gonna be a case of fucking, that what could they have done better, Let's switch cameras for a moment. So, going off on that, hello? Miso soup, hello? So going off of that, Andrew Garfield's great. Tobey Maguire's great, but it's Miso. Tobey Maguire's is the one that feels a little off. He hasn't played this role in 20 years, so he does feel a little different. Everyone was there for Tobey. Lowell can't blame him. Not right that damn chair? No. So we do get that. It's nice. They do excuse it well, and honestly, none of us really give a fuck. Like it's kind of like seeing Peter Peter B. Parker from the actual like fucking movie. Like he's just older, but he's not as nihilistic or anything. He's a lot more optimistic, and it's nice. All the callback moments with him are all nice. The moments where he's acting like the mentor stepping in, really nice. Because again, that'd be his role in this group in like this group setup. It is just really weird that they fucking gave fucking like. Okay, like I like it, but it's so weird that they made him the strongest of the three Spider-Men. And yeah, no, Tom Holland actually held his own really well. I don't want to say he got the scene stolen. I don't want to say like whenever they were on, they stole like the scene from him. But they were better with their dynamic. I feel on Tom Holland. Like if Tom Holland's Spider-Man hasn't really come into his own. Even like again, that's why like at the end he feels like Spider-Man now. And you do see that in their interactions, but it is kind of nice, like, like it's still nice to get it where it is, because, again, we never know what could happen in the future. He used to try to huck me this time. I see. So Tom Holland really pulled it off rather well. Definitely, like, it was just a fun dynamic all across the board, really great. And they're all kind of dorks, so it does, like, help out a lot that even with the awkward shit, they're still really chill. There might be a little bit too many callbacks to Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, but considering the Sam Raimi villains make up the majority of the villain cast, I don't think that's a problem. So here's the problem. None of the villains are Tom Holland's. I pulled the whole Tory code in myself, which is kind of stupid, because they set up Scorpion in Homecoming, and Vulture doesn't come back either for this movie either. If Vulture had shown up, at least we'd have the Sinister Six in some capacity, but we don't. So yeah, that's more or less there with that situation. The Spider-Mans are fine. MJ and Aunt May are annoying as hell in this movie. Aunt May basically gets herself killed, like basically got herself killed for being fucking stupid. And Peter also for listening to her, but it's more Aunt May's fault than anything else. MJ isn't bad at all times, but there are some moments that they try to play off as like, oh, it's really cool. Like when she talks shit to Doctor Strange, like, hey, it's your fault. At that point, I'm just gonna be honest, like, no, she needs to fuck off there. That is complete, like, the spell fucking up is ultimately fucking, is ultimately Peter Parker's, like, Peter Parker's fault. It's not Doctor Strange's. But she kind of, like, puts her weight around too much. It's a little silly at times. I don't know why, but, like, a lot of the female characters just ran kind of, like, silly in this movie, where they just have motivations that you can't really understand, or, well, at least don't really resonate all that well, and they have, like, these really weird fucking decisions. Like, again, Aunt May should have known, like, send them back. Oh, you have to help them. They're already dead. Like, you're literally, like, you're talking to a fucking ghost. Like, they've already died. Doctor Strange is right. Send them fucking back. That's there. Happy's fine. He shows up a lot less than I would have thought after the first movie because he's basically dealing with legal problems. Is my always sub to you despite the other me dying? Thanks, me, so I appreciate it. Then moving on, we have okay, so I guess now so let's talk about like Doctor Strange and shit. Doctor Strange was great. I can't remember his name right now for the life of me. Benedict Cumberbatch was wonderful in the movie. Did a really good job. I mean, he's probably outside of like maybe fucking Tom Holland Spider-Man now, he's probably the most consistent good like act in the MCU. So Doctor Strange 2 is probably gonna be a really good movie. You get a trailer for it at the end, looks really nice. Going forward, the villains. I'll start off with Dr. Octopus first, since he's the one who probably feels the most one-to-one. Just great. Like, if you liked his performance in Sam Raimi's movie, you're going to like his performance here. He's a little more aggressive, I would say, when he has the chip off, but not by much. Once he gets the chip on, though, like, and he's actually back in control, it just feels like natural progression of his character. He's willing to help out and shit. Really good stuff all across the board. You even, like, he's able to recognize all technology, and then you even get a scene where he directly... It must be weird I'm seeing two misos. It's a little weird, yeah. He even gets a scene directly where he like looks at the arc reactor and talks about it in reference to his own energy project. And then we get a really good scene with Tobey Maguire and Otto Octavius. So he's able to recognize nanomachine technology instantly. Like at a glance, he's able to realize it's nanomachines. And he just congratulates Peter, saying that Peter's been very busy like since he's been gone, and that's impressive. So I guess he was already aware of nanomachine technology and was maybe at least somewhat aware of it theoretically, or at least in practice. I don't know. I mean, he does create like a literal fucking sun in like his fucking lab, so I guess like if he actually wanted to, he could probably make it. Going forward a little bit there, so yeah, just great all across the board. No real complaints there. Electro does get some changes when the movie did become Metal Gear Solid. For reals. Electro does get some changes. He becomes more confident for sure. He's a lot more assertive. He's not like anywhere near like as like timid and stuff as he was in the original movie. He's a lot more like chill. And then afterwards, after he gets cured, he does have a conversation with Andrew Garfield. And to be fair, nanomachines is mentioned. Is nanomachines mentioned in the first movie? Toby's movie? If that's true, then okay, yeah. So that's how he knows about it. But I wasn't aware if it was mentioned or not. We do get a reference to Miles Morales, technically, where, so basically, Electro's talking to Andrew Garfield, and he's basically like, with everything you did, I kind of was expecting you to be black, because he helped out the community and everything, and Andrew Garfield's a little like, oh, well, no, I'm not, and, maybe like next time, and then like, Electro's like, well, there's no multiverse out there, there's gotta be one black Spider-Man out there. So there is a reference to Miles Morales for sure. Unfortunately, it does not show up in the movie though, but there's a reference to him. So I suspect we'll be getting that in the next like multiverse story. Lizard is just Lizard. Yeah, Osborn's worked on it. Okay, yeah. So he was already wearing nanomachines. Lizard's just Lizard. Did he show Toby the nanomachine stuff? Okay, then yeah. So that's how he knows about it. Yeah, Lizard's just Lizard. You either like Lizard or you don't. He's fine, but he's definitely the most of the five villains. He's the one that's like the least utilized. But to be fair, he also is like very honest with this current Peter, and he's also not like a complete dick. He does tell them like, "Hey, listen, if you're going to help us, there's always going to be consequences to helping people. Like, you're just going to have to accept that." And even as he's beating the shit out of him the first time, he does tell him like, "I did warn you there was going to be consequences for doing this," before throwing him the Green Goblin for Green Goblin to get the pile driver of the fucking century over there. Sandman was the one who felt the worst. Not because of how he acted, but he has no motivation besides going home. And then for the final fight, he's just like, I don't trust anybody to get the cube. So I guess you could argue he's trying to get the cube, but it's never really explained why he just started to become a fucking villain. It's really fucking weird. It's just, it feels like Sandman was there just... It is the same actor. Yeah, it is the same Sandman as far as I'm aware. The guy does come back. So Sandman doesn't have like his human body until the end of the movie. I totally just immediately understood the nanomachine studies. Okay, yeah, so nanomachines were common then. Okay, so then I guess the nanomachine tech seen in Spider-Man's suit in No Way Home is just a little more advanced maybe than what he's familiar with then. He has no real motivation besides going home to his daughter, which was a motivation to Sam Raimi movies, but then he's a villain for some reason. He fights them for no good reason. They do cure him, and it's all good, though. When they cure him, it is the original actor, so I'm assuming the voice is the same as well. He sounds the same. And he does help Spider-Man out at the start of the movie against Electro, so he's not like a complete dick. Green Goblin, a little weirder. You can tell because of the expectations of what Green Goblin did in the first movie, they made certain scenes happen the way they did. But for the most part, like every scene with Green Goblin was a joy. Like it's just great seeing the old guys back again for like one last fucking hoorah. It's kind of implied they live though it's kind of implied at the end that they do survive and they do move on with their lives, which is a little weird. It's never directly stated, but the whole point of them curing these people is so they can go back to living normal lives and like be at peace. So there's a very good chance that like Dr. Octopus and Norman Osborn are still alive in Sam Raimi's universe now and shit, which is cool, but also kind of feels a little bad because like Harry died and shit, so you're gonna have to deal with that, Chestnut. Beyond that though, is Willem Dafoe still Dafoe? No, at the end of the movie he does get cured of his like insanity, so he's no longer Green Goblin by the end. Feels bad no one remembers Cosmic Spider-Man. I mean, you can't have Cosmic Spider-Man here. He'll fucking like, in Spider-Verse? He might show up in Spider-Verse, who knows? Yeah, beyond that point, villains were all great. Supporting cast was fine for the most part. So who does Harry Holland, aka Tom Holland's brother, play as in the movie? I have no fucking clue. I don't think there was anyone who looked like... I mean, like, if he had a role in the movie, he must have been there. No fucking clue where. Did they mention what his scene was about, or like where his scene would have been at, or like what was going on there? Because I can't recall a single guy who looked like Tom Holland besides Tom Holland. Yeah, but beyond that point, though, at that point, that's cool. They don't receive amps like Dr. Octopus. Dr. Octopus does get the nanomachines on his arms for a little bit, but he gives them back right away. So, yeah, it's the same guy as Sandman from Sam Raimi. Okay, yeah. So going a little about the power scaling for a minute, since that's kind of what we do here. All of the villains stack up quite nicely to the MCU villains if not being stronger. Like, again, Green Goblin is able to beat the shit out of Spider-Man with the nanomachine suit on like fucking nothing. He does take a couple of hits, but it's like, no, you can tell Green Goblin's whooping his ass throughout the entire fight. Spider-Man gets a few good licks in, nothing substantial. Green Goblin fucking mops the floor with him. So the weird part there is that so the way power scaling works is that would retroactively scale the Sam Raimi and the Amazing Spider-Man films. The Spider-Man legit sells on grandma. Yeah, they didn't try and bring back, they didn't try and do the Mephisto angle. A little surprised on that one, given how the story went. But yeah, no, like they're actually pretty fun. Like the actual original villains are pretty fucking strong, even before even before some of them get their power ups. Electro does receive a massive power up, and he fucking deals with all three Spider-Men pretty fucking easily. With the Electro gets an arc reactor and uses it to power his abilities, so he gets way stronger as a result. No one else really gets power amps though, and yet they're all still comparable to Tom Holland's Spider-Man with the nanomachine suit. So, or stronger in the case of like Dr. Octopus and shit and Green Goblin. So it's really fucking weird. But yeah, no, they would just like. Hang on. What? What do you want?
Keep the door open?
What do you want?
You remember when they're trying to name Spider-Man and Daily Bugle and they're like, oh, Stephen Strange, or Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Ah, good. Let's take it.
I remember. Apparently he wasn't a hero, I guess.
Huh?
But I guess he wasn't a hero then.
I guess, yeah.
Alright. Yeah. So unironically, that means like if Green Goblin had shown up like at the fucking Civil War fight, he probably would have fucked up most of the heroes there. Because keep in mind, that's Tom Holland at the start, not very experienced, not all that strong. No, it's not telling me which understandable it's seeing Harry Holland's in. Maybe he was the son for his brother, I don't know. It's entirely possible. But yeah, like, unironically, I can now say with, like, 100% certainty Green Goblin would probably fuck up Captain America's fight. Like, if Green Goblin and Captain America were to fight, Green Goblin would fucking wreck his shit. Oh, but Captain America beat Tom Holland in the airport scene. Yeah, that's the most inexperienced Spider-Man at his weakest point. Yeah, fucking, if fucking any of the Sam Raimi villains showed up to fight, like, Captain America or something, they would have fucking mopped the floor with him. Honestly, they probably would be Iron Man too, if we're being honest. Probably before, like, Infinity War. Well, once the movie gets more access, I might do, like, quick little... Peter, I've seen the face of God. He's Nick from Darkness. If there's anything really else mentioning. The pumpkin bombs are back. Like, all the iconic stuff is back. Green Goblin slices off one of Dr. Octopus's arms, which is kind of whack. Green Goblin is OP and nearly anyone would mollywop Tom's Spider-Man? No. So the thing is that when Tom Holland gets the Iron Spider suit, he basically shitstorms most people. Or at least most people in his tier anyway. And keep in mind, he can tank blows from Thanos. And he also can hurt Thanos with his blows. This means that if Green Goblin were to fight Thanos, he'd do more damage than Peter Parker did. I was talking to my brother on the way back, but like unironically, if the Sinister Six of this group fought Thanos, they probably would have beat his ass. Oh, but Thanos can fight Doctor Strange and does not matter. Does not matter. Because again, like Peter Parker can't hurt Thanos, like he does fuck with him. So like honestly, if all six of them were to fight, they probably beat it. They probably could beat him in a fight. The Avengers are outnumbered. Green Goblin surrendered. Green Goblin with the tier 2 bomb. So. Okay, so the spell is being contained by a barrier that Green Goblin blows up, but the barrier can contain a spell that can affect the entire multiverse. So unironically, unless it's really fragile from the outside in, yeah, you kind of have to like look at this bomb and be like, yeah, that bomb's a little suspicious. All they need was Doc Ock to hold down that. No, like unironically, if they had shown up to that fight, assuming Thanos doesn't Reality Stone shit, they would have fucking wrecked his shit. Because not only are they not fucking stupid, but Sandman playing lethal could easily fucking destroy Thanos because his ability to fucking wreck him. And if you count Electro there, who could speed blitz Spider-Man, and to be fair, Thanos could catch Spider-Man off guard, but Spider-Man could keep up with Thanos consistently and like keep up with his speed. Electro speed blitzes them pretty consistently when he's amped. He probably would beat the shit out of Thanos. Like, and Lizard's just there. Lizard's just doing something. Lizard doesn't offer much to the fight. I might talk about it a little further because here's the thing. It's like this is one of those crossover rule situations where it's like, okay, the characters are dragged immediately in from their verse. Do you just say, you can't apply power scaling this, really? Watch me. Watch me. And you can, but so the question is now is like, so some of them do get amped, some of them don't. The question on the table is, do you take it as they're only this strong in this showing, or do you take it as you reverse scale it back? Technically, you reverse scale it back, but like, I mean, like most people don't like crossover scaling in general, so I doubt they'll do it. Too bad Toby wasn't there in Infinity War. Again, yeah, Toby's stronger than Peter, so like, yeah, if he had shown up to the fight Thanos, he would have done at least some. He probably would have gotten the glove off. I will say, I don't think they could have beat biological through Spider-Man would beat Thanos. Okay, let me break this down a little bit. Well, actually, again, if he wasn't spamming the Reality Stone, they probably could have. The webs do affect Thanos, and they can hurt. Okay, so here's the thing. They can hurt Thanos. Like, can they do serious damage? No, but they can hurt him. All of the villains would scale above a stronger, presumably stronger Tom Holland by a decent metric. Because Tom Holland's not only earned a spider sense, but he's also gone through other adventures after the events of Endgame. So, unless Tom Holland stayed the same level of ability, all of the villains upscale above Tom Holland at like his peak condition, which is stronger, presumably by this point. Even if he's still equal, man, too bad Cosmic Spider-Man didn't just consume all those stones and one-shot Thanos. Even if he's equal to like fucking the one that was in Infinity War and Endgame, all of the villains upscale. They hand him his ass pretty easily. Although to be fair, at least physically strength-wise, they do pretty consistently as well. Again, the fact that Lizard even tags Doctor Strange at all is very fucking whack. Man, Toby will bully the fuck out Thanos. Thanos will not be crying or Gamora will be crying because Toby's such a badass, so he would just dance on him. Come on, guys, we know evil Toby would casually beat Thanos. You're really trying to tell me that the villains would scale, but Doctor Strange is basically equal to Thanos? Well, keep in mind that like Thanos only could fight Doctor Strange because of all the stones he had. Like, Thanos by himself probably wouldn't have been able to beat Doctor Strange. Also, Doctor Strange is not equal to Thanos. Doctor Strange was stronger than Thanos, technically. It's just that, for some fucking reason, he just didn't fucking fight effectively. Again, so keep in mind, when I'm saying they could beat Thanos, I'm kind of referring to, like, Thanos at the start of the movie. Because all of the stones do change. Like, with all the stones, I don't really think you can argue for, like, any of the other villains. Like, even in, like, the Tom Holland, even like the fucking Sam Raimi and shit. I don't think you can argue for anyone being Thanos legitimately if you give him more than, like, one stone. Because by that point, he'd have hacks abilities that probably allow him to win pretty easily. Again, like, if he spams Reality Stone, yeah, he's obviously going to win. If he spams Time Stone, he's obviously going to fucking win. Whatever the fuck the Soul Stone does, because I don't even think that shit has a fucking power. I think it's just there for fucking looks. The Power Stone thing is weird because guys, Peter, since one above all, he can snap Thanos back to a fetushood. Like, the Power Stone power-up is very weird because it doesn't really power him up while he's, like, holding it on the gauntlet. He has to grab the stone specifically to get the power-up. So, you could argue that, again, like, yeah, unless you give him, like, the near-complete glove and you assume he fights... If you assume he fights the way he does... Because, again, like, the way Thanos fights is not very impressive. Like... Watch the Infinity War fight. He does not utilize the powers to the best of their ability. Remember Thanos stopped basically his stones beat the shit out of an enraged Hulk? Yeah, but that's because the Hulk's a brute who has no tactics whatsoever. Like, yeah, he can take blows from the Hulk, that's true, but again, we do see that later on, Spider-Man's blows do hurt him. Like, they can hurt him. And on top of that, we're talking about villains who have powers and abilities and who aren't fucking stupid. Oh, if the Hulk was tired and hurt? I don't know if he was tired and hurt, but again, like, Thanos beats the Hulk not due to being physically stronger, but because he's an actual fighter. Like, in the fight, we see Thanos aims for pressure points. He aims for specific areas to attack. Unlike the Hulk, who's throwing... Again? Unlike the Hulk, who's just throwing punches left and right. Fucking dropping this shit everywhere. So, had the Hulk had martial arts skills on par with Thanos, he probably would have beat him at the start of Infinity War. No, it isn't. Not staged, guy. Not staged. So yeah, no. They didn't hurt him. They're more or less annoyed him. He been called him insect or something like that. Now we literally see him react to like the punches. Like, again, is he doing like super serious damage? No, but again, this Tom Holland's most likely stronger than that one, and that one could already hurt Thanos by punching him around. Like, the problem here is part of the reason Thanos gets away with half the shit he does because most of his heroes are fighting with like lethal beams and shit. Again, what?
So you're gonna tell me when Iron Man got one drop of blood off him, he wasn't using lethal first?
Nope, not lethal. Those were concussion rockets.
Oh, you right? So when he drilled his hands on the floor and side kicked him, no?
No. Concussion. We have two different interpretations of hurt. I mean, like, again, like, so the problem here is, again, we're talking feels pain, which he does from all the attacks.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does.
How's
Bro.
you're playing RuneScape, right?
Yeah.
And you're level 60
Yeah.
with 60 defense, and the count hits you for one. Are you really hurt?
Am I not hurt?
Or did you get dented?
Am I not hurt? To be fair, I totally couldn't really deal physically against Giant Sandman. Well, that's because Giant Sandman's giant fucking sandstorm. What the fuck are you supposed to hit? Again, like, so, even if you want to ignore the straight AP comparisons, there's still all the hacks abilities. Like, Sandman could literally just fucking shove all that sand in Thanos and kill him, and that wouldn't be entirely out of character. The only reason he doesn't do it here specifically is because not only do they have masks on, because I guess that fucking helps, but it's like he's also not trying to kill them, because he's not entirely a bad guy. On top of that, we have an amped Electro. Like, so, even if you want to consider that, like, okay, their physical attacks aren't going to work, their actual power setup would allow them to beat Thanos pretty easily with the Reality Stone. Guys, today, totally his web sacks would kill Thanos. So, like, that's kind of like the thing there on the table is when you're considering everything together. And then again, you're considering Green Goblin's bombs and shit. And again, like, this is assuming Spider-Man hasn't gotten stronger in all these movies. But we know he at least got stronger in Far From Home because he got the spider sense, and that did increase his ability to fight significantly. He is also able to keep up with Doctor Strange, and ultimately he does beat Doctor Strange in a fight. Granted, it's more due to, like, a technicality of his webbing, but, you know, that's still a thing we're considering. Even if you want to say that he's holding back, he shouldn't. That should, like, affect most of his stats when it comes to a fight. That would just affect that, like, why isn't he throwing out black holes and shit, or like why isn't he throwing out like crazy reality warping stuff? All right, thank you. I mean, I'd like more info before I make a final conclusion. But, like, again, as it stands right now, like, the actual Spider-Man villains are probably in the higher tier of villains in the MCU. Especially with given the fact that almost all of them can casually beat Spider-Man, who would compare it to all the Spider-Men. But, at any rate, and, like, I mean, all of the previous versions. At any rate, that's more or less my thoughts on the movie. I am going to go see it again on Monday again, because I'm going to go see it with a friend. And, yeah, I guess we'll see how it goes. By the way, Jim, you guys stream SMT3 today? No. No SMT3 stream today. I'm going to be working on the novel for Pimp Demon. So I did mention this in my Discord server, but because we're close to being done with SMT3, FNAF Security Breach is out. So please, I don't know what you're asking for, Reggie. Anyways, at any rate, so with that said, that'll be it. For today. Starting Sunday, we will just be doing pure SMT3 streams, days of streaming if I'm available, to finish off SMT3. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for your time as always. Have a nice day, and I'll see you guys on the next streamer video. Take care.